Welcome to another episode of Fabitgarage. So on this episode, we're going to be installing the exhaust cutouts on the V8 Miata. So let me turn the camera around and I'm going to show you guys what I've done so far. Okay, so as I mentioned in my past video, you have, when you buy these eBay cutouts, which I've had many of them, you have to reinforce them because they fall apart. So in case you did not see my last video, I'm going to repeat that real quick. These screws here, or these bolts that hold this plate on, they always back out. So put a little tack weld on both. These two here always back out too, even though they have a lock washer, and you can put even Loctite. When it gets really hot, the Loctite just pretty much liquefies again, and these will back out with vibration. So I was gonna make a plate that goes up, over, and down with two little screws here, but I figured all I did was I just tack welded this here, that way that won't back out. And if I do have to get it out, all I have to do is cut this little weld here, and I'll be able to take that out. Same thing with these, tack welded those on. If that motor burns out, I'll most likely just go on eBay and pay $50 for another one instead of trying to find a motor separate. So that's the thing, this is cheap enough where if anything here really fails, I'm just gonna buy another one. So the last thing I have to do is the two little set screws that go in here, they always back out too, but obviously those, I don't have enough room to tack weld or anything. So as you can see, I have it here. They do add Loctite, but like I said, when it gets really hot, if you put it all the way in the back of the car, you might be okay, but a lot of people put it right at the downpipe. That's usually where I've done it. And it gets really hot up there, and these would just come right out. So I'm gonna take both of these out, drill it through, and then put this little rope in through here on both. And that's gonna make sure that never comes out. And then really there's nothing else that can fail other than the motor burning out. So yeah, I did that to both already. All I have to do right now is just drill these two and put the pins in, and then I can mount them to the car, which I already welded the pipe, and I'll show you that right now. So I thought about putting them right here because I have a lot of room. The only problem with that is the gas tank is right here, and I have to make a better shield that goes here so heat doesn't heat up the fuel. But the problem with cutouts is, especially like on this car, you don't have a cat, you don't have anything. On pretty much all of my cars, when you had a cutout that was somewhere here up front, you actually will shoot flames at high RPM. So I would rather not have anything like that right under the gas tank. So I decided to do it over here in the back. So pretty much right before the muffler, you can see I welded a 90. Not a pretty weld because, again, I'm using stainless wire, and I don't have experience with using stainless wire on a stainless pipe, but it did come out okay, and it's not gonna leak, so that's all I care about. So this pipe here was made, this was basically the dump that came with the kit. So instead of using that pipe that I have up there, which I'll show you again, so instead of using this here, I basically use the dump pipe that comes out as my little 90-degree, because that has a flange on it. So usually, let's say this pipe here was a 2-inch pipe. You will cut here, weld this in place, and you will have your cutout like that. So I figured, because I don't have much room over here, if I just use those two dump pipes, it puts it right at the right angle. And then I can use this other piece here. So keep in mind, this is your threaded connection here. That's why they don't give you nuts with the kit, because you have threads here. And actually one of the kits was fine. The other one, there was no threads here. They forgot to thread it because it's made in China, obviously. So I put new threads in there. It was already drilled for the right size. They just weren't threaded. So you have the V-bands there. So this has a V-band too. So basically this is gonna V-band right here, and then the cutout will bolt right to it. And I already measured, I already mounted the cutout, and it's like perfect. So there's more than one reason why I'm doing it back here instead of up there, other than having, you know, possible shooting flames out of, you know, right under the gas tank and stuff. So these tend to leak a tiny bit of, like have an exhaust leak. Cutouts are not 100% sealed. Even when fully closed, sometimes you can still hear like a slight exhaust leak. Some brands have a ton of exhaust leaks. So pretty much the further back you mount it, the less noticeable it'll be, because if someone's standing behind your car and your exhaust is right here, but your leak is right here, it's not gonna be as noticeable as if you had a leak like right here up front, you know what I mean? So yeah, mounted them back here. It'll be really loud, hopefully. And if it does not seal 100%, it's okay, because you won't be able to notice it from there to here. So the whole exhaust was down. I welded it all around, put it back up. Now all I have to do is drill those pins out. Drill those cutouts out and put the pins in, and then I can just mount them here. And then I just have to run the 2 wires, which I'm not sure if I'm gonna go through the trunk or if I'm gonna run the wire, go through the body over there and come out on the center console. I'm not sure yet, but let's drill those cutouts out and put those pins, and then we'll figure out how to run the wires. All right, so as you can see before, you have the 2 Allen set screws. Drill that through, put the 2, and it's gonna make sure that that's not gonna fall off. So the set screws, they're only on one side, they don't go through. So if they back out just a little bit, it'll allow the shaft from the motor to just spin and actually not spin this. So this is why when you drill it and put this, you're going through, and it gives you both sides of strength to turn this, and it pretty much won't back itself up, because this is basically like a spring, you can say. Once you press it on there, it will not come out. You have to really press it on with a hammer, so it won't even move. So yeah, I'm gonna do that to the other one, and then I can put it on the car. Okay, so the cutouts are installed, as you can see here. Now keep in mind, these 2, for those of you that get bothered by little things like that, these 2 are identical. So if you take this and lay it next to this one, it'll be identical. So in order for you to have like the screws showing out on both sides, you have to flip one the other way, which means looking from here, it doesn't look like they're exactly the same, but they are. If I take these 3 off and I flip this whole thing out to show where the spot welds are, then, you know, this line will line up the same thing, go down. It'll look more uniform, but then you're gonna have one side showing the screws and one not. So I just mounted it like this. It doesn't really matter. It's not gonna affect functionality. It's just for looks. So if it doesn't bother you to have screws facing out on one and welds facing out on the other, then mount it the other way. But I just mounted it like this. So yeah, now I'm gonna get to running the wires. Okay, so before I run on the wiring, I wanna make sure that these actually work. So I have them hooked up temporarily. Here I have a computer power supply. You can look up tutorials on how to convert a computer power supply into just a regular power supply. So as you can see here, I made this years ago when I did electronics in school. And this gives you outputs for 12 volts, 5 volts, 2.3 volts. So you hook up your ground and your power to pretty much power anything up to like 20 amps. Obviously not with these wires because they're too thin for 20 amp, but this unit will do up to 20 amps for 12 volts. So this is good for powering pretty much anything that's 12 volts on a car, like on a bench. So definitely look into it if you want to make one of these for your shop. But anyway, I have hooked up with the box that came. So that has a single lighter, so I have it connected there. I'm gonna plug one at a time in and then flip the switch to see if it will open. So let's see. Let me hold the switch here and we'll do one and see if it works. That's open. Closed. Now I'm gonna plug it into the other one. I could probably just do it right here actually. Give me 1 second, I have one hand. I'm trying to hold 15 things at once. All right, let's see if this one will open. And close, so they both work. So yeah, now I can run the wire because I know these work, so. The cutouts are wired, so 2 wires come up. I put loom on the wire to protect it from elements and some heat. They run, they have loom all the way up until it goes into the car. So that goes over the subframe, comes down right here, secured here, goes around, secured here. From here goes up the tunnel with the heat resistant shielding, so the exhaust won't melt right here. And from there it goes right into the body. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I drilled a hole on the center console coming down. Let's see if I can show you. And it goes right into the car. It's away from the drive shaft, plenty of room. And this wire here, again, the speed sensor has 2 wires. One is a ground and one is a signal. The ground, I just put it right on the body there, and then I sprayed some wax on it to prevent it from rusting. The other one's the signal one, which I put an oxygen sensor sleeve on it just to prevent, the exhaust from heating it up and stuff. So that one wire is also going through the same grommet as the cutouts. So I'm gonna put the car down and I'll show you what I'm gonna do up top. Okay, so as you can see from the top here, this is my center console. I drilled a hole right there and put one of those grommets on. You can see I already had a grommet there. This is for my wideband for the oxygen sensor to come through. So that's what that is. And I drilled a hole right next to it. This wire coming in separate. Like I said, it's for the vehicle speed sensor signal. That's gonna go right into the Dakota digital box behind the cluster to provide the signal for the speedometer on the car. So the speedometer should work once everything is hooked up. And then this loom coming through here, that's the two cutout things, which I'm gonna have to cut right here. I'm gonna cut these off and expose the 2 wires on each, and that's gonna go into the controller box, the exhaust cutout controller, to make them operate by a push button. So let's get installing the controller. So for the cutout controller, they give you this link. That's where you get your installer manual. But actually, if you go on Amazon where you purchase the box and you go through the pictures, there's actually a video here. This video explains exactly how to install it. So download the manual, go buy the video, and you can't really miss it. So this is what they want you to do. If you're running one cutout, just choose M1 or M2. I'm running 2, so just wire your positive to motor 1, your negative to motor 1 negative. Same thing for that. TR1 you're gonna use if you're using a momentary button like I am. When you push it and it comes back to normal. You want power and ground, and that's pretty much it. If you want the LED on the button to work, then you can wire it to the top. But I'm gonna get to installing the motor and stuff, the wires in here, and I'm gonna install my switch right now. All right, so as you can see, I have my switch mounted. It has a picture of a little exhaust tip, and it says open. So I mounted it right there, right next to the shifter. So if I'm driving, it'll be nice and easy just to go like that, and the cutout opens. So make sure you measure the threaded side. You measure the outside diameter with a caliper, and then you put the caliper on one of these step drill bits and make sure you have a drill bit that's big enough. In my case, this last band here was my size, so all I do is just drill all the way through and then just tighten it up with that big nut they give you. And then I gotta figure out which wires is which, if I'm gonna want this thing to light up when the motor is running or to be lit up all the time. I have to figure out which setup I'm gonna go with, but for now the switch is mounted. Oh, by the way, I had some a few of these made so I can put it on my stuff. Came out pretty cool. I have one here, I'll show you the other one. And I have one right on a air cleaner. Thought it was pretty cool just to have my own stamp on things. So yeah, I have the controller here. It does come with a case, a box that you button it all up and stuff, but for the process of setting it up, I'm gonna do it like this. So all I have right now is the two motors, motor 1 positive and negative, motor 2 positive and negative. Then I need my power and ground here. Power has to be a switched, so I'm just gonna go basically where these switches are. When I turn the key on, these switches come up, it'll power that box. Maybe I'll even dedicate one of these switches for the cutout. So when I turn the switch on, cutout box gets power. Maybe I'll do that because I have 3 switches that I'm not using right now. So yeah, that's actually a good idea, because that way if I don't want to use a cutout, I can just shut it off and I won't accidentally open it or anything like that. So yeah, power and ground, and pretty much that's it. And then just if I want to use the illumination on the switch, I'll have to hook it up to here. But TR1, it's going to be for your switch. If you're going to use the same one as me, just a push button one, momentary. So yeah, let me get this thing all set up, and then once I have it pretty much working, I'll explain to you guys everything I did. But all right, so I finished wiring my cutout controller, and it works perfect. So I ended up just making a harness and actually wired in one of these male female. So if I ever have to take this off, because the switch is mounted to that, then I can just unplug it here. But I'm gonna go on the computer right now, and I updated the wiring on the diagram that they send you when you buy the module, so you guys know exactly what I did. But let me show you how it works. So I wired mine to this middle finger here, which is pretty much what a cutout is, middle finger to all the Karens on the road. So my switch is off right now. The light on that is gonna be off. So the ignition's on. The ignition's on. As soon as I turn the cutout on, that light goes on. And let's go back here. You heard the cutouts. They are open. Now, when you go into the settings, you can make it so when you first turn them on, whether they open or close. I haven't changed it yet, but either way. So they're open right now. If I press this button once, they close. I'm actually gonna leave the phone here and show you guys as I press the button. Just bear with me. All right, and pressing the button. So as you can see there, works really good. And then when I don't want to use it, I can just flip the switch and that goes off. So it works really good. So now all I got to do is put this back on the case that it came with and make all these wires look nice in here. But yeah, let me go on the computer and show you the diagram. So it's actually pretty easy. If you guys want to pause on the screen, if you are doing this to your car, pause it on the screen and screenshot and print it out. But all I added was this section here because I'm using a push button. You can use different kinds of switches, toggle switches and stuff. You can use 2 of these, one to open, one to close. But this, I think it's just push once to open, push once to close. And if you push them quick, like 1, 2, it'll open and close. Like it's really that fast of a reaction. So pretty easy. You're gonna get 12 volts switched going in here. The way these work, you push this little flathead slot here, you push it over the flathead, and all you got to do is you splice the wire and stick it in there, and this is a spring. Once you release that, it'll grab the wire for you. So all you got to do is splice it and shove it in there. So you're gonna run your 12 volts, you're gonna run your ground. Then whether you use one cutout, if you're doing just one cutout, you're gonna go cutout 1, motor 1 positive, motor 1 negative. Now you're not gonna know which one is positive, which one's negative. Not that there really isn't a positive or negative on a motor, but there is. By changing polarity, you change the rotation of the motor, it'll either turn left or right. So if you click it and it should be opening but it's closing, then just swap these two. So if you're using two motors like me, then you just do exactly like the picture here. And again, you might have to swap one or two depending on which way your motor opens. So mine, as you saw when you first turn it on, they're supposed to close and mine open, so I'm gonna have to swap both of mine. So once you have power and ground, and then you have both your motors, the only thing you need to do left is TR1. TR1 is your switch. And what TR1 needs in order to make the box work is a 12 volt signal. So the way you get that, this wire in here is based on this switch. It has two black wires. Let me see if I can show. Two black wires and two red wires. On this switch here that I put the link on the description, the two black wires are pretty much the switch wires. So as you can see here, I kind of drew it. It's not how it is, but when you push this down, you connect the two black wires. You get continuity on the two black wires. So what you want is you want switch 12 volts going on one of the black wires, either one, and on the other black wire is going to go straight to TR1. That way when you push the button, it'll connect the two black, 12 volts go down, gives the signal. The two red wires are for your LED, for your switch to light up. You can choose to not light it up and leave these disconnected, or you can do like me. When you get power, like let's say when you turn your key on, you have your LED come on. In my case, I have the toggle switch there to turn the whole system on. Positive and negative, because LEDs have polarity. If you put positive and negative and the LED does not turn on, just switch them again, polarity, and that's the LED should light up. So you can actually get power right from the switch right here. So once you figure out which one is positive, just put these two wires together, and that'll always have power when you turn the key on. And then your negative, you just run it to a ground somewhere, like I did on mine. You just run a ground to your body, and that's pretty much all you need. I'm gonna go into the settings right now on how I won't be able to video that because I do that on my phone through Wi-Fi, so I won't be able to show you guys. But I'll explain to you what I did once I get through it. So the configuration page on the phone works really good. So you turn the key on, you get power to the module. You're gonna press the button, to the push button that you installed 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 times back to back. And then the blue light on the module is gonna start flashing. And that's pretty much telling you that it's ready to pair. So you go on your phone, you go on your Wi-Fi, you disconnect from whatever Wi-Fi network you're on, and you connect it to the box, which is gonna say timer, shop, Wi-Fi 613 or whatever other different number it might be, but it's gonna say timer shop. You connect to the Wi-Fi network. It's gonna tell you there is no internet, it's fine. So once you connect to the network, you're gonna type in, you're gonna open up your browser on your phone, and you're gonna type in 192.168.4.1. And what that does is that brings up the configuration page on your phone. So the way that this box comes shipped to you, the duration to open and close is 3 seconds. I don't know why this one says 170. This is just a screenshot of the instructions. So when I open mine, both mine, 3 seconds, which means when you push the button, it's gonna open for 3 seconds. When you push it again, it's gonna close for 3 seconds, which is exactly what mine take to open and close. The one thing that I did uncheck was this here. Mine was checked off, close on initial power. So what that does is if you leave it open and then you shut off your car, let's say you pull up to a gas station with it open, and you shut off your car. Next time you turn the car on and you give it power to the module, it's gonna automatically close that, the cutouts. I did not want that. Like if I'm at a car show or if I wanna be obnoxious, I know I have to close it. I don't need this closing for me. The issue with that is if I get home and I close them, and then next morning when I start the car, it's gonna think, oh, it needs to close again, because every time it gets power, it tries to close it for 3 seconds. So if they're already closed, all you're gonna be doing is every morning, you're gonna be putting 3 seconds of stress on your motor. Basically just holding the switch, like giving it power, but the motor's already closed. You ain't gonna you ain't gonna close anymore. So I uncheck that, click save. So now whatever position I leave when I get out of the car, that's where it's gonna stay. And if I want the opposite, I just push the button. So it's pretty easy. It's actually extremely easy. There's a drop down box here. You can select whatever push button you have. I only selected the first one, one push button, not the version 2, just a regular first version, because that's what that one push button is for. So yeah, it's pretty easy. Now I'm just gonna basically put it back together. Let me see if I can focus here. I'm just gonna put the interior all back together and put that module back in the little case that they give you and stuff. I have wiring tools everywhere. And then we're gonna start the car up and see how this thing sounds. I'm gonna start it up with it closed and then open it up. On the video, it might not, you'll notice it's open, but it might not do its justice until you hear it in person. I mean, I've had many cutouts, so I know it's like extremely loud, depending on the setup, but hopefully through the video you can hear it. So let's put this whole thing back together. So before I show you guys the stuff inside the car, the wiring, I just want to show you what I also did this week. I installed blacked out markers. They still light up orange. That actually came out of my NA, which had blacked out on the front. So I put the orange ones on the NA, and I stole that one because I think it looks better. And I also painted the fender flares, front and rear. Didn't come out 100%. I did order paint by the color code, but I ordered like a rattle can, and I'll show you what I got. I mean, it's got some gloss to it, but it's not too bad. I mean, I decided to leave the scoop black. I think it looks sharp. So yeah, I'll show you, see if I can show you. Didn't come out too bad. Color match is not 100%, but that's not gonna be 100% either. But keep in mind, my car is extremely dirty. If I take buffing compound and make a little circle here, see how dirty it is? It'll be a lot wider than that. The car is filthy. I haven't washed it since probably 4 years ago. So if I actually buff the paint job on the car, it might be more white and really match that. But yeah, so, and I also painted the front lip. The front lip used to have a black section. I painted the front lip. I think it looks a little better in my opinion. So I'll show you guys here. Where's the can? I just went on online, Touch Up Express, and I pretty much just ordered a Mazda 8-3D, which is my color code. So this is as close as you're gonna get to matching your car paint, is to get like a custom mix color coded paint. So this one here was what do you call single stage. So that means the clear coat is mixed in with it. So you don't have to clear it. You can clear it, but I decided to just leave it like that for now because it's more of like a fun race car. It's nothing. Eventually this car is gonna get a paint job. The whole car is gonna be painted. So for now, that's what I have. And I think it looks decent. So when the car is on the ground, it actually looks pretty sharp. And once I wash the car and buff it, it'll make it look a little better. But let me move on to the interior and show you guys what I've done so far. All right, so the cutout is all set. I just got to put that back together. I wrapped the harness and put that circuit board or the module inside of the box, and that's where it's going to stay. There's a gap under the plastic that's going to fit perfect. So what I decided to do was also tear this whole thing apart here, and that wire that I had coming through here, that was the signal for the speed sensor. I have it going to the Dakota digital box now. So I'm putting the cluster back in. So basically just kind of trying to kill two birds with one stone. If I have the center console apart, might as well just take this whole thing apart and fix the speedometer so that the speedometer will work and the cutouts. So I'm pretty much just gonna put it back together. Unfortunately, I am not gonna have a cutout sound for you guys on this video. Kind of sucks this time of year where I live in Massachusetts. At 5 o'clock, it's already pitch black. It looks like 9 p.m. out there. And it's very hard to get footage at night. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna release this video for this week and showing you guys how to install the cutout. And then on the weekend when it's a nice daylight, I'm gonna record the cutout function and the speedometer and then I'll tell you guys exactly which pin did I go on the back of the cluster to connect to the speedometer, which setting on the box I used. So we'll get there when I get there, because I still have to calibrate it. So the signal now is going to the cluster, but I have to go into the Dakota digital box and adjust the signal up or down, basically with a GPS speedometer on my phone, and basically match it as close as I can to the GPS speed that my phone says. That's what I'm gonna match on the box so that will read accurately. So yeah, this is gonna be it for this week. Next week, or this weekend, I'll probably release a video with the cutout and a nice, drive by, and maybe even a highway drive. It just sucks that at nighttime, it's like I leave for work and come home, it's pitch black. So the only time now that I'll have to get footage from daylight, it's gonna be weekends. So just bear with me, guys. But yeah, we're getting along. This is pretty much gonna be done for the winter. After I do the speedometer and the cutout, this is pretty much done. I did add on the bar here, I added some padding. So, because I am 5'11", so my head is right about here, just in case I end up hitting my head here if something happens. It's a lot softer than hitting your head on the metal. So I did that. Got my little sticker that I showed you guys already. So yeah, after this is done, and I'll put back together, speedometer's working, cutouts are working. This is gonna go on this bay here, and this Miata's coming on the lift, so I can start working on that Miata and get that ready to sell. Go through it, see what it needs, and fix that one up to sell. But this is it for this year on the NB, because it's getting really cold. It's getting below 30 degrees already, so I'm not gonna be driving this much longer. I'll probably put a car cover on it and just not drive it in the winter. But we should have other projects going on anyway, so. But yeah, guys, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to share with people you know, and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you guys on the next episode and see what that brings.